What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and the climate change cultists have reached a new level of lunacy. For those of you all who might not know, because the mainstream media is constantly feeding you misinformation, because the powers that be are constantly trying to indoctrinate you, trying to persuade you into joining their cult, all of this talk about climate change, all of this climate change stuff that you've been hearing lately, it's nothing more than complete and utter hogwash. It is nothing more than an attempt to take away your rights and your way of life. Long story short, the powers that be, the elites, they want to enjoy the world to themselves, and they don't want you to be a part of it. They don't want you to be able to travel when you want to travel. They don't want you to be able to eat when you want to eat. They want you all crammed into tight little cities, worried about impending doom because any minute now the world's going to explode because you cooked a hamburger using real beef on a gas stove. I'm telling you right now, I know all of you all have different views and opinions, but if you're following up with this climate change stuff, please reconsider. Because not only are you not helping anything, you're making our society worse. These people that are promoting this climate change nonsense, they don't believe any of the stuff that they're saying, which is why they are constantly jet-setting around the world in private jets, riding on private yachts, eating the finest foods, going on the finest vacations, all while telling you that you need to stop driving. You need to stop eating meat. No, you need to eat bugs. You don't need to be self-sustaining. No, you need to live in a 15-minute city. None of this stuff is to help you. Is climate change real? The climate has always changed. Since the beginning of time, the climate has been changing. Well before cars, well before humans. The climate has changed. Over and over again. Places that used to be filled with greenery, lush forests, and jungles are now covered in ice. Places that used to be hot are now cold. Places that used to be cold are now hot. It's just the way of the world. You enjoying your life isn't changing the climate. If anyone's changing the climate, it's these billionaires who are jet-setting around the world, getting rich off of the factories that they've created, polluting the environment. It's not you. So this climate change stuff, it's a bunch of nonsense. But regardless if it's nonsense or not, the powers that be are pretending to take it very seriously. And I can now confirm that the White House, the Biden administration, says that it is open to a plan that would block sunlight from hitting the surface of the earth. Basically, they're coming up with a plan as we speak. This is not a conspiracy. Look it up. It's right there on Google. You know, Google half the time won't tell you the truth about stuff, but this information you can find. They're exploring plans where basically they're going to release some type of substances in the atmosphere, in the stratosphere, to block sunlight from hitting Earth. Now, there are scientists out there all over the world warning about the potential effects that this could have. But you know, ladies and gentlemen, this won't be done to protect us, to save our planet. In fact, it will be done to do just the opposite. This is something that we should all take very seriously, and it's something that we should learn more about, because these are plans that they have, and they're very open about their plans as well. And I'm telling you right now, it sounds horrific. Now, while you're here, we're about to dive into this information. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Let me know down in the comments below, how do you feel about climate change? I don't care about how this person feels or that person feels. I want to know your opinion. I don't want to know a watered down opinion. I don't want an opinion that's affected by your peers. How do you actually feel about climate change? Do you think I'm wrong? Let me know in the comments below. And we're going to dive right into this information because, like I said, this is scary stuff. The White House has opened the door to an audacious geoengineering plan. The idea would block sunlight from the Earth's surface to fight global warming. Scientists have warned the practice could have devastating effects. The White House has opened the door to an audacious plan to block sunlight from hitting the surface of the Earth in a bid to halt global warming. Despite some scientists warning the effort could have untold side effects from altering the chemical makeup of the atmosphere, President Joe Biden's administration have admitted they're open to the idea, which has never been attempted before. In a report released Friday by the White House, officials suggested limiting sunlight to rapidly cool the planet, a process known as solar radiation modification, or SRM. The administration added a note of skepticism to the report by noting that Congress ordered it, insisting it has not made any decision on a geoengineering policy yet. The report noted several ways that authorities could look to achieve SRM, all of which come with potentially devastating consequences if they backfire. One method would be to significantly increase the amount of aerosols in the stratosphere, which would reflect the sun's rays from the planet. Other ideas floated included increasing cloud coverage over oceans, or reducing the amount of cirrus cloud formations which reflect solar radiation back to the Earth. I want to pause right there. There are so many people still to this day who don't believe that the government can manipulate the weather. It literally blows my mind that we're living in a world where this information is so easily obtainable, yet people still view it as a conspiracy. We have been manipulating the weather for years, ladies and gentlemen. Back in Vietnam, we manipulated the weather and used it in warfare. You think they won't use it against you? The White House is sitting here openly talking about how we need to make more of these clouds and get rid of these clouds. How do you think they do that, ladies and gentlemen? You think they snap their finger? Do you think Joe Biden wiggles his nose and has little kids play with his leg hairs, and then the clouds start disappearing? They can manipulate the weather. So whenever you look at the weather and you blame it on climate change, remember that. When you, why are there, the storms are much worse now, the tornadoes are worse, it's climate change, people. You never thought about the fact that they can manipulate the weather? They're openly talking about it. And the sad part is, there are people watching this video right now, hundreds of people who are watching this video looking at me like I'm crazy, even though the information's right there. People are so far gone, and I can't necessarily blame them, that they don't know what to believe anymore. The facts can be in front of your face. No one cares. So whenever people bring up how radical the weather seems lately when talking about climate change, remember, the same exact people that are trying to warn you about climate change are in possession of technology that can manipulate the weather. And manipulating the weather can be pretty easy, honestly. They've been doing this for decades. Imagine what they could do now. But let's go ahead and dive back in. The report noted that undertaking the mammoth task could have severe ramifications. Weather pattern on weather patterns and food supplies, which would in turn impact biodiversity, geopolitics, and health. It also suggested that committing to the idea and then backtracking and changing course could lead to abrupt warming as the sun's rays suddenly heat the earth once more. While insisting that it was not definitively moving ahead with the plan, the Biden administration insisted in its report that the idea appeared promising. It said a program of research into the practice would enable better informed decisions about the potential risk and benefits of blocking the sun. The White House added that exploring the idea would also allow a better understanding of the foundational elements of greenhouse gas emissions, mitigation, and adaptation. SRM offers the possibility of cooling the planet significantly on a timescale of a few years, the report claimed. Scientists have been split over the potential benefits of the risky plan. With some warning, it could result in a catastrophic change in the Earth's atmosphere. Others, however, claim it could be used as a last resort if fears over climate change are realized in the coming years and decades. So, in other words, people, this report basically confirms two little things for us. Two conspiracy theories that people have, very popular conspiracy theories, are confirmed within this report. What are those theories? Well, we talked about one. For some reason, people still think that it's a conspiracy theory that they can manipulate and change the weather. They confirmed in this report that they could do that. That is, it's not shocking to me. It will be shocking to some because some people can't get this tidbit of information through their brain for some odd reason. This is something that I've known since I was like 7 years old, researching the Vietnam War. So the fact that we're in 2023 and people still can't get with the program, it's really mind-boggling to me, concerning, and disappointing. But yes, they confirmed that they can manipulate the weather in this report. What else did they confirm? They confirmed that they could take planes up into the sky and drop things from the planes, materials, whatever it is, into the stratosphere and to the atmosphere that could block sunlight. What's one thing that people have been talking about for years? Chemtrails. It's a conspiracy, right? A conspiracy that planes are dropping down chemicals and various other things into our air that we're breathing in that could be affecting us in multiple different ways. Who knows? That's always been a conspiracy. You could look up in the sky and you could see the trails. But that's a conspiracy. Yet right here in this report, what do they say? Oh, well, if we do want to block the sun, we're going to fly in the sky and drop this stuff into the stratosphere. I thought that was a conspiracy theory. I thought y'all couldn't do that. Well, turns out they can and they will. And I'm going to let you know right now, if they're letting this report out there, it's not because they don't have plans on doing this. It's probably because they're already doing this or they already know that they're going to. Now, all of the scientists that I've looked into who are in their right mind, who don't believe the climate change nonsense, they all say that this could have devastating effects on our planet. We don't know because we haven't done something like this before. Dropping chemicals into the atmosphere to reflect the sun rays instead of allowing the sun to shine down upon Earth. I think this will lead to a lot of sickly individuals who aren't getting enough sunlight. This could go wrong and trigger a new ice age. Don't put it past these climate change weirdos to do scientific things that does change the climate just so they can say they were right. We're seeing stuff like this on smaller scales in this country all the time. For one, they want you to believe that racism is as prominent in 2023 as it was in like the 1910s and 20s and the 1800s. So what are they doing? Now they're labeling Mexican people as white supremacists and Nazis and all of this other stuff. You know, when the problem isn't as real as they try to make it out to be, or it's not as big of a problem as they try to make it out to be, they create fake problems. So, just like we're seeing with all of this racial-based stuff in this country right now, don't be surprised if the people who've been warning you about climate change literally go so far as to usher in climate change artificially by doing things like this. Because what does this show us? What does this show us? What is the number one takeaway from everything you just learned? You learned that they can manipulate the weather, but now you're learning that they can manipulate the climate. If they can make things cooler, they could probably make things hotter. Who knows what they can do? But this is an admission right now. The climate change cult that wants you to change your life because of climate change. They want you to stop driving, stop eating this, stop doing this because of climate change. And meanwhile, none of them practice what they preach. But now they let the cat out the bag, that they know how to manipulate the climate. So go ahead, react and prepare accordingly. Just know that the people who cause the problems always sell you the solution. We've seen it time in and time out. There's nothing new under the sun, people. History repeats itself over and over and over and over again, and people still don't learn. But it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts about this down below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.